Okay, I'm going to go over the region growing tool or dynamic region growing tool. To me, this is the single most important tool for segmentation. Again, just because this is what's displayed on the main screen on the 3D volume doesn't mean that that's actually what's in the data set. If you window and level this all the way out, that's actually what's in the data set. For example, if I were to 3D print this is exactly what it would look like, as opposed to the preset and the window and level that made it look like a really nice heart. So in order to specify which structures are going to be in the actual 3D volume, you need to manually highlight the structures using the region growing tool. There are three options here. One is auto, manual, and freehand. Auto is you can just start anywhere by hitting Control Shift and left click and holding it down, all of them down, and then the longer you hold it down, the farther the growing tool will go to include more and more structures. And when you're satisfied with what you've highlighted in color, I call this the coloring book method, you can hit select, and only the structures you selected will be included in the volume. See here, if I window and level all the way out, this is what's included in the volume. Now to visualize that on the multiplanar reformatted images, you can left click on this mask overlay tool, and whatever is in green is what you've included in the volume data set. So if you wanted to add more, again, I'm saying under auto right now, you can pick up from the edge of the green to include more structures, and it's okay to overlap at this point with the green. Important note is instead of hitting select again, when you hit select, it's your most recent selection that's going to be included in the 3D volume data set. So if I were to do that, it's just going to include the tip of the heart right here or near the tip, and everything else is lost whenever you hit select. It's just the most recent selection that's included. So if you wanted to just add additional structures to the 3D volume, you should click on include instead. Alternatively, if you wanted to highlight structures, and this can be on any plane really, I'm just picking the axle right now, you can also hit exclude. And when you're highlighting using the dynamic region growing tool, and you're not happy with what you've highlighted, let's say you bled into other structures, you can always just clear region, and usually it's the last two selections. It will clear them sequentially. All right, so that's for the auto option. We'll clear the mask for now. So this is actually all the 3D volume that's within the area that was scanned, and you can see using the overlay mask overlay tool that everything that's in green is included. So the entire collimated area is included in the 3D volume. If I were to use manual, and again, Control Shift left click in any area, I'm going to pick the left ventricle because it's big, and whatever is connected to the left ventricle with contrast will be selected. So that is the manual option under the region growing tool. Let's see what that looks like in this position. And then again, I hit select. Okay, so not too bad. It's as expected, it kind of excluded the right heart, which is washed out in terms of contrast opacification. So the region growing tool under the manual option just tried to go as far as it could, highlighting structures that are connected to where I dropped the region of interest. And that's what it looks like. It got the left ventricle, left atrium, actually got the coronaries as well, most of them anyway. So again, window and level, this is exactly everything that's included in the volume. If I were to export this as an STL file, for example, this is what the print will look like, as opposed to just windowing and level, like I showed earlier, where there's actually more that's included in the data set. Now, the freehand tool I usually use when I'm trying to highlight structures that are sort of beyond the resolution of the semi-automatic kind of region growing tool. Let's say, you know, I'm trying to highlight this vessel that's way out and it, you know, you can't get to it using the auto. And by the way, under the auto option, here are some modes for the region growing tools. I'll probably select the small vessel option because I'm trying to get a small vessel, make this full resolution, and then the tightness, the lower it is, the tighter it is, the less likely your selection will bleed out of the structure you're trying to highlight. So let's say I want to include this tiny coronary, I think a diagonal branch. Let's see if this small vessel mode with the tightness of 205 will capture it. See, it's kind of bleeding out. So not ideal. We'll clear the region. This is when I start using the freehand tool. You'll select the diameter of your region growing tool, which will be manually kind of colored by you. And you're just gonna follow the vessel and then again hit include to include that. This is where it popped out, and you know, so forth. And I'm shift left clicking right now to include that portion of that coronary, that diagonal branch, and you get the idea. And you just hit include, and of course you can always do that to exclude as well. So that's the region growing tool. And you know, you can adjust this to be bigger. Let's say you're interested in a bigger structure, but I don't see the reason why, unless you're trying to erase a swath of anatomy you're not really interested in. Let's say these bones and soft tissues were highlighted initially. You can exclude them if you wish. But you know, the structure is pretty big. I'll just go with the auto and just hold down Control Shift left click and grow. Right now I'm under a small vessel, so let's change that to general, so that's not too strict with or small with the growth. And again, you can hit include and include other structures that you want. And so yeah, that's the region growing tool.